Hey guys, Bill Ladd, Duckett Ladd CPAs and Advisors. So glad you guys took the time out of your day to come on here and check out our continuation of our video series, Setting Up for Scaling Up. Last time we talked about reconnecting with your why and how it's so important to remember why you do what you do, what gets you out of bed each morning, and why should anybody care. Today we're going to be talking about a great topic called finding your brand voice. And this is something, guys, we are CPAs and advisors. We had no idea what we were doing here. We were kind of floundering around trying to figure it out, and we were very fortunate. We found a great partner in Frank and Maven, and I'm thrilled today to have the president of Frank and Maven, Brandon Welch, to kind of fill us in a little bit on how you can find your brand voice. So Brandon, thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
You bet. So let's just kind of jump in here. You know, we partnered up several years ago, and I think you saw that we had a few pieces in place, but we really weren't there yet. There was more we could do, and you really partnered with us to do that. So tell us about that progression and how you can get to the point where you find that brand voice that really tells people who you are.
Sure. So you talked a lot about finding your why in some of your presentations, and that's really where it starts. So a brand voice is simply a defining set of characteristics that talks about how a brand thinks, acts, and sees the world, and it's just being very familiar with what you stand for and what you stand against. A lot of companies have passion. A lot of companies started from passion, but it's buried very deep, and the day-to-day takes them away from that. So finding your brand voice is about, first of all, uncovering that. You have to find your why. You have to find a greater sense of purpose about what you do, or you're not going to have anything bigger to talk about than your work. And then after that, it's working with your team to come up with these set of characteristics, these set of beliefs, really, that you can repeat, you can integrate into your whole company.
So what I'm hearing is the word or the phrase I'm thinking of is consistency. What you're telling us is that once you find that, you do need to be very consistent with what you're putting forth as your brand. Is that?
Yeah, so yes, that's absolutely a part of it. However, a lot of times we think of consistency and branding as the same colors, the same logo, all of that. Tim Miles, I love how he said it. He said, nobody will ever choose you for your brand logo or your colors, but people choose you because of your attitudes and personality every single day. So logos and colors, that's what a lot of times is called branding. We think it's something deeper than that. So true branding is understanding what the meaning is behind those color symbols. It's the meaning behind how you answer your phone. It's what you want every person in your company to be on board with, and maybe sometimes it forces you to find things or people inside your company that you're not going to be okay with, that don't believe the same things. But when it starts of values, when it starts with a mission, you guys' mission to make your clients' lives better, and just that as a foundation, and everybody that comes in your door and you say, you know what, if you're not into this, if this isn't how you roll, you're probably not going to be a good fit here. It permeates through your hiring, permeates through your internal training, permeates through onboarding clients, and permeates through how you select employees or select clients to work with. And then and only then, like the last and probably the least important part of its use is marketing. Because that becomes very, very natural when you're very comfortable with it and it's evident in every area of your business.
That's really interesting to me, Brandon, because when we first started, one of our first moves was creating a logo. And at that time, we were pretty proud of it. We got some good feedback. We thought the color scheme looked good. And you know, we were very proud of it. But what we realized very quickly is, yeah, it may look nice, but if there's no substance behind it, what is it other than a nice picture?
Right.
And it has no meaning.
Human beings are constantly looking to bond and connect with other human beings. The same way that we start mimicking or looking for a person that we're having a real conversation with. Do I share values of this person? Do I have the same ideas? Are they behind me? Are they affirming to me or repelling? The exact same thing happens with companies. And you think of really strong brands, Apple, Harley Davidson, Trader Joe's, these people the brands understand their people very well. They understand what makes their heart work and operate, and then they align themselves with those things. And what they find is that they are those things, and they're just looking for like-minded people.
Yeah.
So that's a brand voice, is learning how to speak to your little tribe and
Yeah.
the language of the tribe.
Yeah.
And I think what you guys have found is sometimes that leads you to say things and some people are not buying what you're selling, and that's a perfectly good reason to do brand voice.
If your values do not align, it probably would not be a good relationship.
Right.
So let's get really practical here. Let's kind of take this down to a tactical level, because in my experience in dealing with small businesses, I think a lot of them struggle with coming up with a brand. So what are some tips? What can we do? What can small businesses do to try to find their brand voice?
Simon Sinek said, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And what you do simply proves what you believe. So that, honing in on that one bit of wisdom from Simon there, we've learned a process, and it's called the We Believe process. And we integrated our entire company into doing it. We're helping others do that, and we helped you guys do that. And it's a very simple way of saying, we believe this. This is what we stand for. So that's a practical thing you can do. And you might have 10 to 20 defining we believe statements, and that starts, that kind of starts the juices flowing. And then what you'll find there is that those statements, those phrases you can say as a team. You'll find them in your office. You'll find saying, hey, we believe this, that's why we did it this way. Or we don't believe this, which is why we're not gonna do that. And so that gets your culture going, and then it becomes very easy to start integrating those every time you have a message. For you guys, about the hub, for example.
Sure.
It became, we believe life is too short to do things you aren't passionate about.
Right.
And that's why the hub exists. The hub is a set of outside services for business owners that don't want to do numbers, they need to do their thing. That's brand voice, as you can say that. So we believe statements is a very good way to start. Integrating those into your messaging on your website is another good thing. You kind of replace your About Us page. Roy Williams of the Wizard Academy suggested that to us. We've done it, and sure enough, traffic on We Believe pages are way, way higher than About Us. People see what you believe and they start that bonding process. So other things you can do is starting to write your ads and starting to write anything you do from a Facebook post, just assuming, take the ad speak straight out of it, just assuming you're talking directly to that person, you're already connected. You may not even know who's on the other end of that equation, but you're starting every statement, every ad, and you just start right in as if you're talking to somebody you've already been friends with. And you take that ad speak out of it. You take the things that we at Duckett Lad, you stop that, you just say, you know what? Life's too short to do things you're not passionate about. And you start your ad writing through that process. By the way, this series is an example of that. You're just assuming there's people on the other end of that camera that kind of buy into these things. This is brand voice in itself.
I think both of those were really helpful for us, because we have a very specific page that said kind of what we did. The Simon Sinek, you actually introduced him to me, and I kind of learned the power of the why, and we kind of started evaluating that, and then you brought in the We Believe, and I think it has been something that it's been almost a rallying cry for people. So I agree 100%. The We Believe statements are huge. If you can take the time to get with your leadership team and do that, that will yield tremendous results. And then putting out meaningful content that you believe in. That's one thing you guys are great at. So kind of speaking of the We Believe, one thing we believe is in outsourcing weaknesses. And when we were looking at this, we realized very quickly we were accountants and advisors. We were not marketers. We tried to do Facebook, we tried to do this, and it was terrible. And it was inconsistent, and it was confusing. And we found that it made a lot of sense. It was stressful, absolutely.
Yeah.
That we were having people who were good at one thing trying to do something they were not good at. So, that's one thing where we found a professional in Frank and Maven who really helped us with that. And the feedback has been incredible. So speak to the importance of finding that right partner. What do they need to be looking at to finding the right marketing partner or the right branding partner for their business?
There's clerical work in marketing. There's a lot of really talented artists that can draw great pictures and build great videos and build, great strategies for emails and things like that. Find somebody you can connect with on a values system. We did that very naturally. I've learned your belief system, and it's very similar to mine. So I can tap in, and it's almost not hard for me to speak like, Bill and Jared or Marcus and what your firm represents. So find somebody who isn't just saying yeah, writing the bullet points down, who's kind of finishing your sentences and like sees the world the way you do. And there are a lot of great ones. There's a lot of great ones in this town and all over the industry. So it starts with strategy, starts with identifying that you guys are on the same sheet of music.
Yeah, you bet.
From there, find somebody maybe who has a familiarity with your product abilities, your product, maybe somebody who's used a product like yours or is just well-versed in business that can understand that. Because otherwise you're going to get a disconnection between artists if you don't have that driving force behind it.
That is some great stuff, Brandon. I really appreciate you taking the time. So what final words do you have for our audience as we're trying to, again, unpack finding your brand voice?
So here's your 3 takeaways. Like we said, find what you believe, write those things down, be willing to talk about them out loud. Our team does that every week. We get together and we talk about what we believe. So get that down on paper, get that to something where you can share it internally and externally. The second thing is either work internally through a process that very regularly on social media, a couple times a week, on a blog or an email, very regularly you're talking to the outside world about what you believe. That solidifies that to them and then to your internal people because you hear that all the time. And then the third thing is when you're doing that, when you're talking about any of your services, don't just talk about the service. Say, we do this because we do this, because we believe this. And when you're doing that, just start right in talking like you're already talking to the heart of the person that is on the same page as you are. It'll naturally deflect people you don't want to work with and naturally attract the ones that you do. 3
great tips, guys. That is something we've implemented here with the help of Frank and Maven and Brandon and his team. Guys, those are great tips that really will help you scale up and create an awesome brand. Thanks for coming on here. Thanks to Brandon Welch, President, Frank and Maven. These guys are the best in the business. Hope everybody's having a great day. Go out and kill it, guys. Thanks. Bye.